Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be watching why Ubuntu sucks in 2025. It's 2026 now, and with a lot of people talking trash about the brand new version of Ubuntu that just came out, I thought it'd be interesting to see what people were saying a year ago. Let's get into it.
Are you tired of your computer feeling slower than a snail stuck in molasses? What if I told you the problem might not be your hardware, but the operating system itself? For years, Ubuntu was the champion of Linux, promising freedom and simplicity. But what exactly happened to this once great distribution? How did it go from a lean, mean computing machine to something many users now call bloatware?
Yeah, I remember Ubuntu was one of the first Linux operating systems that actually worked well on my old piece of shit Dell computer back in the day. It was some computer that had like 500 megabytes of RAM or something. I don't know. It was really slow. And I was experimenting on it to see if I could get something running faster. First, I tried Red Hat, then I tried Fedora, then I tried OpenSUSE. But with those distros, I couldn't ever figure out back then in like 2013 how to install any applications. I would go to the websites and I didn't know that all these distributions were based on like Debian, I think. So basically, I would see, oh, it's not available for Fedora. Oh, it's not available for OpenSUSE. But I was able to find ways to install it on Ubuntu pretty easily. And it ran pretty well. But back then, there was zero gaming support, and I liked playing tons of games on my PC. So I just dropped back in Windows and suffered.
Beta release of Ubuntu 12.04 is now available to download, but
Back in the day, Ubuntu was known for its speed and lightweight design. It was the go-to for anyone looking to escape the clutches of proprietary operating systems without sacrificing usability. Think of it like a finely tuned sports car, agile and responsive. You could install it on almost anything, from powerful desktops to ancient laptops, and it would just work. The community was buzzing, developers were building amazing tools, and everything felt fresh. It offered a simple, intuitive desktop experience that was easy for beginners to pick up, yet powerful enough for advanced users. But as time
Yeah, I wasn't doing anything advanced back then, so it ran just fine for me. And I think if I wasn't gaming and I was just using the web browser or just typing up little things to print off for school, it would have been perfectly fine. And I would have had a much better time just doing like little school research projects and stuff on Ubuntu than Windows, 100%.
went on, something shifted. The focus seemed to drift from user choice and simplicity to something else entirely. One of the biggest concerns for many long-term users is the adoption of GNOME as the default desktop environment. While GNOME has its fans, it's also often criticized for being resource-intensive and less customizable than older desktop environments.
Start with the GNOME.
I don't know how or why GNOME has fans. This desktop environment, it's trying to be everything. It's trying to be Linux. It's trying to be, I mean, it is Linux, but it's trying to be Mac OS with this little bar at the top. I always see this and I'm like, we get it. You love Mac computers. And then this big tile on the side, the left bar, or if you're really insane, the right bar are the worst placements. Bottom bar or just top bar is the way to go. When you would click this, it would open up a giant menu, a giant start menu, and the icons are gigantic. I feel like they designed this new version of GNOME whenever it changed to this style to basically be a desktop environment for 80-year-olds who have their little readers on and they can't see shit.
GNOME is known for its modern, clean, and minimalistic design, which worked
For those who remember the good old days of Unity, GNOME felt like a step back, sacrificing performance for perceived modernity. It's like replacing a fast, functional race car with a luxury sedan that's comfortable but sluggish. But it's not just the desktop environment. Many users point to the increasing number of pre-installed applications and tools. What was once a minimal install that you could build upon is now, for some, a bloated mess.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, the only things I would say need to come on a basic distribution is your Office suite, just some kind of Excel kind of thing, some kind of Word document thing, web browser, and those basic little tools, you know, of course, the Wi-Fi stuff, all that. But that's all you really need. And then you can figure it out from there what you actually want to add.
Feels as if Ubuntu is trying to be everything to everyone, and in doing so, it loses its identity. This leads to heavier system resource usage and a slower overall experience, especially on older hardware. It's a classic case of trying to add too many features, resulting in more problems than solutions.
options. Snaps, in particular, are a game changer. They're secure.
Snaps are not a game changer. Well, maybe they are. I honestly still don't know a lot about them. I just remember when I first heard about snaps, I watched a video explaining them to me, and I just thought, this is a terrible idea. It sounds like a bunch of bloat to me. And I think I remember the guy saying that they cause like weird crossover dependency problems between certain applications, or they install dependencies multiple times, just filling up your hard drive. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe I'm misremembering something, but yeah, I still just avoid snaps like the plague, honestly.
Secure and easy.
The push for Snap packages, while offering containerized applications for security, has also drawn criticism. These packages can be slower to launch and consume more disk space, adding to the overall bloat. It feels like a departure from the traditional Linux philosophy of small, efficient, and interconnected programs, and perhaps the most controversial change directly impacts user choice and control. Ubuntu's decisions sometimes feel like they are forcing users down a specific path, rather than empowering them. This can create a sense of frustration, especially for those who value the freedom and flexibility that Linux is supposed to offer. It's like being offered a buffet, but then being told exactly what you must eat. So, where does this leave us in 2025? Ubuntu is still widely used, and it certainly has its merits.
Yeah, and I have to say that little application launcher or the little application installer, I haven't used one of those. I hate those. I don't know if Ubuntu, when you install packages through there, it just installs snaps every time, but I feel like that's a terrible idea. Yeah, actually, recently I installed Fedora on a virtual machine just to try it out because I remember, oh, this is what I first tried out back in the day in like 2013. We're going to try it out again, see if it's actually any good. And I hated it, but I had to install Zen browser through that little GUI application installer, and it was just terrible. It was a terrible experience. It installed and then, or it downloaded and then it said install. I installed and then it said download it again. It was just a big mess. So if Ubuntu right now is anything like Fedora right now, I hate it.
It remains accessible for new users, and its software availability is still impressive.
The biggest advantages of Ubuntu is its vast software library. Thanks to its popularity, if a developer creates
But for many, myself
Yeah, honestly, that little software library thing, just to rant on this a little more. If you install one of these operating systems, one of these distributions like Ubuntu, that's supposed to be user friendly, like I said, it's probably going to come with everything you need. They said they put too much stuff in Ubuntu to the point where some people call it bloatware. So you know there's going to be a web browser, you know there's going to be an office suite. So most newbies who just want to get on there and use it for everyday stuff, watching YouTube, doing a little schoolwork, they're going to have everything they need. They're not going to need this little GUI installer. What would they need that for? And if they're actually doing something more advanced, then I think that they're smart enough to open up the web browser and ask a chat bot or just look or just Google it. And then you'd be able to find how to install stuff. Like the commands, there's so much documentation out there. The commands are all out there. You can install just about anything. Like I'm not very, very good at all, but I got this server down here that I'm running like 6 different Docker containers on and running like Pi-hole and stuff like that. It was pretty fairly it was pretty easy overall. All you had to do is use the web browser a little bit, look around, and follow instructions. So if you're not just doing it for schoolwork, I don't see the point of having this whole little thing.
included, it's no longer the lean, innovative operating system it once was. The bloat, the shift in philosophy, and the move towards a more controlled environment have pushed some users away. It's a tough pill to swallow for those who remember Ubuntu as the epitome of Linux freedom. The narrative has changed, and what was once a beacon of choice now feels like a guided door. We've seen other Linux distributions rise, offering alternatives that truly embody the open source spirit. Many have found solace in distributions that prioritize speed, customization, and user control. It's a
Yeah, if I was going to recommend a Linux distribution to someone who's just going to use like a web browser, text documents, basic Office stuff, the only one I wouldn't recommend over Ubuntu would probably be NixOS, just because working in that one file, it's a little difficult to install new applications, and it can be a little cumbersome for someone who just wants to do some everyday things. You know what I mean? But yeah, I guess I would recommend Ubuntu, but I would honestly recommend like, I don't know, fucking Pop OS. I've heard bad stuff about that, but not as much about Ubuntu as Ubuntu.
vibrant ecosystem out there, full of choices, if you're willing to look beyond the big names. In the end, the concept of a best Linux distro is subjective.
The best. For me, the
Yeah, at this point, there's a few I'd recommend. Maybe CachyOS if you're a gamer and you don't really want to tweak stuff too much. If you don't mind tweaking stuff too much, then Arch is just fine for gaming. You just have to do a little extra tweaking and it's completely fine. And Arch is no longer super hard to install. Like if you use Arch install, you can make it through pretty easy. And if you're not dual booting and you're just going straight Linux on your PC, then I think anyone can do it. And if you have the assistance of some generative AI chatbot like ChatGPT or something like that, then I definitely think 99% of people can do it. So those are like honestly my two recommendations. I have seen that maybe on a server you could put Ubuntu because as a newbie working with a server, it can be a lot easier. But also you could just put Debian on there. It's battle tested. Ubuntu's basically Debian. So you could just do that.
Even if one of its biggest players takes a different path, the open source world is vast, offering endless possibilities. The power lies in choice and finding the operating system that truly fits your needs. What do you think? Have Ubuntu's changes been for the better or worse? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Many are seeking the original essence of Linux, where customization and efficiency reign supreme. The focus should always be on the user, not on a predetermined vision. This shift has created a vacuum, and other distributions are eagerly filling it. It's a natural evolution of the open source landscape, but not without its growing pains. The community remains resilient, adapting and innovating. Your computing experience should be empowering, not inhibiting. The choice of operating system is personal, a reflection of your priorities. Do you prioritize out-of-the-box functionality or complete control? The answer will guide you to your next Linux adventure. It's a journey worth taking to find that perfect fit. So
Final thoughts on this. I think the problem with Ubuntu is they're doing like a lot of gaming companies are doing now, a lot of game developers doing. They know that people who are installing this most likely have modern hardware, so they're not even bothering to optimize for older hardware. Maybe Ubuntu server is, but Ubuntu desktop with GNOME or Kubuntu or any of those, I feel like they're just not even bothering to optimize and they just pack a ton of stuff in there, trying to capture people who are jumping over from Mac OS or trying to capture a lot of people who are jumping over from Windows. They're actually trying to capture both, and I think that's a big problem. That's why they sort of look like they are going for the Mac aesthetic, but then they also have the Windows Store look and all that. I think they're just filling it with bloat because they know you got a couple of terabytes of hard drive space and they don't care if they fill it up and you have newer hardware. So I think they're just not optimizing for old stuff anymore. And they're just trying to push out the fanciest looking distro they can. Well, if you got any other stuff to add, drop it in comments below. I'd also like to hear if any of you actually use Ubuntu, why you use it, especially if you're using just regular Ubuntu with GNOME. And if you have any complaints in 2026, especially with this new update. I heard they added like some AI. They're going all in on AI. What are they doing there? Why do you hate it? Or I would really like to know, why do you love Ubuntu over other distributions? All right. Well, thanks for watching the video. Bye.